when she said I could go take the exam and all, I was so happy. I just hugged my mom. I ran to the hall and I was writing.
I'm crying. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And it was funny because I finished before people that were there the entire time, and it was.
I'm sorry.
It was just really crazy that money could do that, you know?
Yeah. Let's talk about the challenges across your career generally. I mean, things are looking really great for you. You're freshly minted doctor, you know, things are just, there are things I'm not going to say on camera right now, but what has been some challenges along the path that you think were very significant you'd like to talk about? Not because you want to, but because that can encourage somebody who are always going through that phase in their life right now.
Do you want me to start from the bottom?
Yeah, starting from the bottom.
If we start from the bottom, we might get emotional.
I mean, as far as you can go.
I think the greatest challenge for me growing up was finances, money. You know, I came from a very small family. You know, I was raised in a one-room apartment. That's not a one-bedroom flat. Like face me, I face you, one situation.
Let's explain that for those who are not Nigerians. So there are some apartments, but an apartment that, you know, there's a long passage in the middle and there are rooms on the side.
Yes.
And this house is not owned by a family, it's owned by different people, rented out to different families. So some family will have like one room just opposite your door, to another room is another people beside. So yeah, but I understand that.
Yeah, so
some can be lucky to have like two of those connected, one bedroom, one living room, but some just have one.
Yeah, so we had just one, and that one room was our bedroom, kitchen,
living room,
everything.
Study room.
We didn't have a couch. We just had a mattress. We didn't even have the bed. We just had the mattress on the floor. And then we had the table. That was the kitchen. And then we had, we painted the room ourselves. So we shot the paint buckets, and then that was the chair. And then we had our clothes. I mean, it wasn't a lot of clothes, but it was just behind the mattress. And like at some point, like I had just my school sportswear and a red and black polka dot top and a green skirt.
I mean, you remember the colors and the design.
It was a face, and I think it's part of why I'm educated, because my mom would always tell me that education, if you don't want to come back to this place, then you have to take school. Like my mom believes that education could take you out of some kind of situations. So money was the major problem. Like there were things we couldn't afford. There were schools we couldn't go to because we couldn't afford those, you know. But then I figured that like I didn't do a lot of menial jobs because I had older siblings that were doing that.
Were you the last one?
Yeah, the last one. But then my brain was kind of like doing the menial job for me. So I remember when I took the common entrance to go to secondary school. The common entrance is the determining exams that you take from primary to secondary school.
So kind of like from elementary to middle school.
Middle school here. So when I took that, I had the highest score in my school. But my choice of school that I wanted to go to,
more expensive.
We couldn't afford it. But then I had put the school on my form that was where I wanted to go to. So the school had selected me, right? But then we couldn't like pursue that And then I missed their interview date and all that.
Did you talk to them that I don't have money, maybe they can fund you?
We didn't even know we could do that, right? We didn't know we could do that.
Because let me just hold you there. You continue. I think something that kind of situation does to you is it does not just affect your pocket, it affects your mentality. Even when you can see that I can talk to them and they will listen to me, you look at yourself, look at the people there that why should they listen to me?
Exactly.
So some financial challenges doesn't just affect your ability to pay, but ability to think out of your problem. So I can see why you won't think of talking to them.
Yes. So we didn't even know we could talk to them. Also, it wasn't in our town. So we'd have to travel to the place, and
That's too much.
Getting the money to even travel in the first place was going to be a lot too. So one day, like I was at my mom's store, we're selling bread at the time by the roadside. And somebody was just like, you lost to school. Like, is this girl not going to school? Something like that. And my mom was like, we couldn't find a school to put her. She was like, what do you mean you couldn't find a school to put her?
School? Oh, there's a lot of
there are a lot of schools. And my mom explained to her that he had missed that face and all that. So she was like, I'm lost in ministry. Like, take her to the Ministry of Education. Talk to somebody there that with her score, they should be able to get something for her. So we went to the ministry.
So admissions into high school hasn't closed then, right?
It hasn't closed completely, but
some big schools would have gotten their people.
Yes, and then, like, people were getting ready for resumption, going to lessons, extra lessons and all that.
Lessons. We talk about that, but
but we couldn't really afford any of this. So I was just there. So the first day we went to the ministry, talking about finances again, I think the way we were dressed, the man was like, what do we need and all that. We were sent back.
And classism is a thing in Nigeria. Everywhere in the world. But, I think in some, honestly, I don't want to be too certain, but so far I've seen in my little journey in the US, people will still listen to you.
Yes.
People will still, there's a way that it levels. But in Nigeria, it's always clear this person is not in my class and they just shut you up.
Yes. So we got there. My mom ties Ira and Buba all the time. So we got there and, we were sent back.
They didn't even listen to you.
They didn't listen to us. And then the second time, we went again, we were sent back, and then my mom was like, okay, that
we've tried.
We've been wasting transport fare, and we could have spent that money or something, So
do you need tissue?
Okay.
Please, where can I get you tissue?
No, I think I'll manage. And then, so one day I was like, that I really want to go to school, that we should try it one more time.
Yeah.
And that day, my mom was like, okay, we'll go the next day if we're able to make sales, And we went the third time, and I think 3 is the lucky number.
Yeah.
So it was the same man, right? The man was like, what are you looking for here? Like, I told you,
a box of tissue.
It's okay. The man was like, I've told you, like, what's going on here? And we were about leaving, so somebody else came out
and heard the conversation.
He was like, what's going on?
Who's that man? I just want to beat him up right now.
Why the noise, and then he saw the woman.
The child.
There's a way poverty will make you look older than your age.
Yes.
So my mom was kind of already looking old, even though, like, we were still younger then. And she was like, what's going on? Kilo Shelley, like, what's going on? And immediately, I think I'm a crybaby because my mom is a crybaby.
Yeah.
So we just started crying that I just want to go to school. And, somebody said they could help us here. So she was like, okay, what's going on? And she was like, okay, have I written the common entrance? I said, yes.
Got the best score.
She was like, okay, what was your score? I told her. She was like, Emma. Like, come follow me. What do you mean you had that score? And
there's nowhere to go, yeah.
So that day it happened that they listened to us. They were like, okay, what school do I want to go to? My mom was like, this is the school that is closest to us, that is a government school. We might be able to afford because government schools, you don't pay a lot. It's just like.
But you didn't choose that school, right?
And I didn't want to go to that school.
Yeah. Is it because it's closer to your house or why?
I don't think it was that's my house. It's a good school too. It was just that original school I wanted to go to, like the way the girls dress, the kind of competitions they go to.
Yes.
You know, I wanted that experience too of like leaving home, going to school, coming back, looking really nice and all that. So
you didn't tell her then there that actually this is my choice. You just talk about the one close to your home.
Yeah, because somebody had advised us that assuming we had known, would have picked that other school. Yes.
Okay.
So like that was a part I didn't talk about. This woman also came to buy bread from us one day and was like, oh, that if we had known, that would have picked that school. So then actually these schools, like we picked 3 choices of schools. So it was my second or third choice. I can't remember exactly. But that particular one was my first choice. And at that time is your first choice that they'll give you. So then from there on, you know, they collected my credentials. They were very excited I had such good scores. And then they sent my name to that school to coordinate with them, that they give me a chance to interview with them.
Interview?
Yeah.
For common entrance, for all this big school, eh?
Like, because they need to like weed out some people
to create a space.
Yes, so I went there. We still had like a large number. I told you it wasn't just the E.
Yeah. That's how much you guys were.
A to F.
And how many in a class?
Over 50.
Wow, that's a big school.
Yeah. So then I started following up with that school. My mom and I were going. Eventually, they set up an interview. We went for the interview. And the interview is not like personal. It's like some number of girls too. Okay. And then you write like an exam. Okay. Like an exam to like post UME.
Oh, so post common entrance.
Imagine that. So I did that.
Or like an entry exam anyway.
Like something like that, actually. Yes. So I wrote that and then I got in, and then that was how I was able to go to secondary school. And, you know, like it was a government school, so we were paying like 700 a year, 300.
Is this like a federal government school, state government school? Okay, like what do we call public school?
Yes.
Okay.
The state government school. But it used to be owned by the Catholic Church.
Oh, so the standard is high.
There was still a little bit of standard there. And then, you know, I was just there. And then it was time to go to SS1. That was a big challenge again because SS1 required us to be in the boarding school.
Oh, for that school? Okay.
Yes, and my mom could not afford boarding school because boarding school, like day school, we're paying like 700, 300. Boarding school now, I think at the time we're paying 8,500 or 9,500.
Yeah, housing, food.
At that time, if you need 5,000 naira from my mom, you have to give her like 3 months.
And that was 5,000 naira was big then, so I can imagine.
You have to give her like 3 months notice, you know, something like that. So it was just a lot. So. But eventually, like, my mom would try to...
So you went for the boarding?
Yeah, I went. Like, you know, she would try to...
Your school didn't have any scholarship at that point, the government thing.
So, yeah.
At that point, there could have been at least something to support some people they know.
There wasn't really. But then, I think at the end of SS1 or so the first term, my mom was able to, like, do all these contributions.
Yeah, thrift
collections. Yeah, so we paid the first term. But then we didn't have money to buy provision, like everything. So my mom would tell you, "Go, I will bring it." But then she would never show up.
Mom thing, my love, mama, but just go. Tell them I'm coming to bring it.
And then she'll never show up.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then Fayemi won the governorship at some point, and then the first lady, Erelu Bisi Fayemi at the time, launched like a girl-child support program.
That's good.
That gave me a 2-term scholarship.
Wow.
So then I used that. And then when that was over, I went back to like not having money again. And then the price went from 8,500 to 14,500.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it was from 9,500 to 14,500 because the difference was like 4,000 naira. So that should be 9,500 to 14. Yes. So
that's a huge jump for a family who is, you know, trying.
Yeah, so we couldn't pay, but I was in school, and So one day, and the thing about Nigeria, they'll beat you for the money your parents could not pay.
Yeah.
So one day they
call
came,
you out on the assembly ground.
They called us out, they flogged us, they sent us.
How can you flog a child for school fee?
How
does a child be at fault for not paying school fee?
So that happened, and then they sent us back home, and eventually.
As a boy, that you were sent back home?
Yeah, so because the money you're paying for is for feeding and other things.
And housing, yeah.
So now that you're not paying, you can't feed. They don't put your name on the kitchen list until you show your payment teller and the bursary clears you. So send us back home. I went back home. I missed classes those times. And then my mom was able
SS2, what year was that?
Yeah, I think I was SS2. My mom was able to get the money, and then we went back again. Then, so I went back again, and then it was time again to pay SS3 first term.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
like
of money in SS3.
Oh God.
Before this and that.
And then there was also this financial problem. So what happened was that I had gone so I represented my school a lot, so I had gone.
I know you did a lot of inter-house sports. You were the queen. I saw pictures of you being the queen for the sports competitions and all that. So you're kind of popular.
I was all over the place, I would say. So those things were the opportunities for me to forget my problems for once.
Right.
I remember my problems when I'm idle. I thought, because those were the leveling grounds.
Yeah, everybody's
for all
the same.
The children.
Yeah.
Everybody's learning how to dance. Everybody's learning how to sing, something like that. In those situations, there were no classes, and so those were what helped me to forget my problems for the meantime. So I had represented my school in one program. That was when Fire Me Again was trying to give us computers.
Oh, okay.
So I was a representative for my school. So at that time, there was this lady at the time, she was the leader of that Samsung computer distribution, whatever. And Miss Salako Ajulo. Shola Salako Ajulo, that's her name now. And she randomly mentioned, if you have any problem, this is my number, call me.
Okay,
I wrote the number. And then somebody gave a presentation and gave us the number of the first lady too. I wrote it.
Okay.
So when I was going through that, I remember that I wrote the phone numbers of those two people. So I called the first lady's number.
That's boldness.
They didn't pick, nobody answered and all that, as expected.
Yeah.
And then I called the
Mrs.
Ajulo's number. They didn't pick too. Then I sent a message that, I'd met you at this place and this is the problem I'm having. I just need to pay for this term and also get some things to eat in the hostel. People have provisions and all. So they called back. And they were they read my text, what's going on? It's I don't need clothes or whatever. Just pay
this school fee
so that I can be in school. And then some Bonvita, Milo or whatever.
Conflicts and all.
And then, they showed up and they paid and I got cleared, that semester, that term. And I was in school. They brought a very big bag that had pillow milk.
This is for me.
I was so excited. That happened. And then I was going to write WAEC. This man had told me I would pass WAEC and that would be it. And then my school's you will have to write NECO.
Yeah, most schools make you write both.
And then in second term.
And by the way, WAEC is the West African. WAEC is West African Examination Council that oversees the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. So Nigeria, Ghana, and some other countries write the same exam to leave to graduate from high school. But there's also the Nigerian Examination Council, the same exam but administered by the national government. So most schools ask their students to write both just for you to have a backup in case one fails. So yeah.
So I wasn't going to write NECO. So I was
because you're extra pay, right?
Yeah, because we can't afford it.
Yeah, I didn't write NECO by the way because we couldn't afford it to my family too.
We could not afford it, and my registrar had already told me that if I study well, I'll be past the WAEC. It's not a course or something that I shouldn't see it that way, But then they were we have to write the NECO, and then we have to pay for
For both.
NECO, like, before, like, we have to pay for NECO before YX starts and all that. It was just funny. So they had registered us, but had not paid, you know.
Yeah. And they will
So-
frustrate you.
So I was going for the NECO exams and all that. The principal was so mad. She was always complaining that we were owing this and that. So on the day of the maths exam, mathematics, the worst happened.
What happened?
She was like,
You're not going to write it.
if you've not paid, you're not going to write it.
How? This is not a school exam.
So they were like, so we'd written right? There were like 4 or 5 of us, I can remember. I don't want to mention their names on
it's
camera,
not, yeah.
but they just gave up and they just slept in the hostel. They've tried their best. But me, I went to the principal's house. The principal was living on campus at the time. So I went to the principal's house. I was really begging her. And then I called my mom. You know, don't forget that it was close to our house.
I'm sure she will come.
So my mom
she'll pack her shop and come.
My mom came. We were crying, you know. Like, I think I was crying because I was seeing my mom crying.
Yeah, it's a very painful
You know,
experience.
we were rolling on the floor. My mom was rolling on the floor. We were begging this woman. Mind you, the exam had started. So my mom and I were there. The woman was talking from her room that, like, don't use emotions. Like, this is
blackmail me.
Don't blackmail me and all that. So something interesting happened.
What's that?
The Tutor General of the state came to visit.
How things just happen just in time.
I know,
It must be that day that he comes.
And he was like, I've seen you before. And I was like, yes, I'm the one that used to represent our school.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, he was like, I've seen you before. I was like, yes, I'm the one that represents the school all the time. I just don't have money. And they're writing NECO. I just want to write the exam. This and that. I've been studying for it and all that. And it was like, okay, like, we should give him some time that he will go talk to the principal. So we went in, spoke with the principal, and after a while, the principal came. I was like, okay, that we're going to sign an affidavit that we will pay the money. That my mom was like, she could pay in installments, that we'll pay the money and all that. So we signed that we're going to pay, because, you know, after NECO, everybody vanishes, and you could check your WIAC and NECO exam online. You don't have to come back to school. So,
except for testimonial, which some schools
testimonial,
require, some universities require, right?
At that point, I didn't even have investing plans. I just wanted
Let me just finish this phase and we'll know what's coming next.
So that happened. We signed the affidavit, and she was like, I could go write the exam. The hall to the exam was like across from us. So I saw when the other girls were entering. I knew that they've been there for long and all that. So I was holding my pencil and everything because I was hoping she would allow me. So I went to meet her with that.
Ready. Yeah.
So when she said I could go take the exam and all, I was so happy. I just hugged my mom. I ran to the hall and I was writing.
I'm crying. Yeah. So.
And it was funny because I finished before people that were there the entire time, and it was.
I'm sorry.
It was just really crazy that money could do that, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually, I probably checked my NECO exam results
because she didn't need it.
Because I never needed it, and something tells me that even if I checked, I must have passed.
Yes.
Still. And but then again that day it was like my brain worked because
did the menial job you were talking about.
My brain did the menial job, and this man only knew me because he had seen me at some of those competitions.
Sorry, we had to stop for a while to just, gather ourselves together. I'm so sorry for making you remember this. But I think what you were trying to say is that it's funny how money can just make that little difference. And I also just know, I believe in God, and I just think that man showing up, maybe a woman showing up that day,
Yeah, it was a man.
just made a difference.
Yeah, it did. And I was able to write the exam. I was able to complete the exam, and then I never checked my NECO results because I didn't need it, but guess what? When the WAEC, so Ekiti State, the teachers were on strike
during the exams,
like for the most part.
Okay.
So graduation commencement year was supposed to happen at the end of the term,
like valedictory service.
But then the principal was like, if they go ahead to organize so then shortly after the NECO exams ended, the strike was called off and the student came back to school. So it was almost the teachers and the lower level students came back to school. So it was almost like they were not restarting the semester, but they were picking up. So the semester that was supposed to end as when NECO was ending was continuing, right? So the principal called us and was like, if we want, so we usually have like a year end, like a teacher that is the head of the, like everybody in that class. So she called us and this was what the principal said, that if we were to have the valedictory service, it would be just us. We won't have lower level class presentations.
Because they're still busy.
Yes. Also, they won't be able to do their award presentations because they're yet to take their exams. They don't know the best in the class and all that yet. So they just advised that we wait until the semester term ends, and then we can have like an actual party like it used to be. So coincidentally, for the first time in a long while, for as long as I could remember at the time, WAEC results came
before the VS.
Before the party.
So that glory came and everybody could see.
And I could remember that in the science class, I was the only one that made on 9 credits, including maths and English. And the same principal.
Yeah, came back to talk to you.
She was like, I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
And I was like, no, you're not.
You're not. People will remember.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the senior prefect of the school at the time because some things happened that we didn't talk about.
I was going to ask why, because typically they use, how good you are.
Politics and all that involved. But I was the timekeeper when I was in SS2. So I was automatically, timekeeper is the only prefect that gets chosen from the lower class.
And then prepares the person for
to be the
lead
next,
something.
Yes. So I was the timekeeper, but that didn't happen, like some politics and everything just happened, and it was fine. It was fine.
You're not even part of the prefect at all, some other role.
I was a prefect.
Okay.
So eventually, they were like, so I wasn't an acting prefect. The acting prefects will be before the session ends, right? There's something funny happened again. So in SS2, so because of the consistent failure of WAEC, the government decided that they will do a statewide exam for SS2.
To prepare them, mock.
Yeah. So if you fail that statewide exam,
you're not going.
You don't go to SS3. The government doesn't bother registering you for WAEC.
So exploring their record,
Yeah. So that happened, and then we took the exam. But then the acting prefects had been selected. I wasn't an acting prefect at all, and that happened, and then the results of the exam came, and we had the news. People really failed. Dr. Ajayi Eniola was the commissioner for education at the time. She was bent on WAEC standard.
Not going, If
you don't meet WAEC standard, you're not going. Everybody, even traditional rulers, were sent to beg her that at least reduce to like WAEC standard is 5 credits, including maths and English, and your 3 core courses. They just make it maths or English. She's like, no way. So it was very dramatic. So I was even panicking that, oh God, I don't
know. I hope I passed because I didn't want to kick out before.
One of my teachers that had seen the results was like,
you don't have any problem.
Like, you're good. I'm like, paste the result, because they didn't want to paste the results too, because they were hoping that there will be some news from the commissioner.
Just move on,
people from the commissioner, and then so they didn't easily talk about the results. They didn't talk about the result until mid first term SS3.
Right, some people are already in SS3 now. Took them back.
It was really funny because girls were already doing, you have to call me senior and all that. So people had to leave, actually. Like, it was terrible.
Left the school,
They could not deal. It wasn't just our school, it was almost every school.
So where did they go to? Where they would go to another school that people didn't know them?
And all that.
Maybe we could do GC.
Yeah. So again, like, I had 9 credits again, and I had maths and English. And so some of the acting prefects were caught up in the chaos, and the principal was like, okay, we have to. So it was a new principal, because the former principal had been understanding of my situation. My elder sister finished from that school.
So this person that was mean is new.
It was a new principal, yes. So the former principal had been understanding of my situation, like, we'll pay in installments and all that. So, and that was why I was hoping that she would be understanding, because she met me at that critical phase. I had resumed school. She was like, oh, what's your post? I'm like, I don't have a post. She's like, what's your name? I was like, Aanuoluwa Adekoya. You are the Adekoya. Do you get that?
So you have heard about
me. So I was hoping that she would be understanding.
So she made you a prefect.
So now that, like, the chaos had happened, they had send back the people that failed back to SS2. Some of them are gone. Then some of the acting prefects were in SS2. So so the principal called us. She lives on campus, remember? She called us one evening. I was like, we cannot operate the school like this. That the prefects cannot be, some of the prefects cannot be in SS2. Also, we had the drama of call me senior, and also, and she was like, everybody in SS2, we call everybody in SS3 senior.
Oh, yeah, of course. So they're calling their colleagues.
Because that was how it was, but now people are repeating SS2. So there's no
call you senior, we are mates.
So there's no thing of, okay, Iyanu can call them senior,
but somebody cannot because they were colleagues.
There will be chaos in SS2 as well. And if that is also going to happen, we cannot have a prefect in SS2. So she was like, okay, then we're going to redo the prefect thing. And then she was like, Adekoya, like, you had the highest score and all that. You get to choose whatever position you want. So I thought about it, that the acting senior girl got promoted to SS3.
And she's there.
And it was funny. I was like, she must have, like, she might have gone to give testimony in her church that she's the acting senior girl and all that. I'm like, if I choose to be the acting senior girl, it's going to be very chaotic. Okay. What position is empty?
It's empty. That's very thoughtful.
What position can I go? And at that time, I had a lot of school daughters. Because
I'm saying go for senior girls.
So whenever parents come to the school and then tell the principal that they need, like, a senior that can help them train, the principal is like, that's the old principal, right?
Adekoya.
She's just like, call me Adekoya. And so I had like a bunch of school daughters, right? I wasn't feeding them or giving them.
Of course, no, it would come from advice.
The only thing was that you get your assignments done. They never flog you in class for failing or things like that. So I thought about it, like, what position will my school daughters enjoy? Like,
welfare.
They've never enjoyed anything from me. So I took food prefect.
That's it.
So food prefect, you get extra food from the kitchen because you taste whatever food that is being cooked. Also, the principal gets to taste. You take the food to the principal. So a lot of times she just tastes it and gives you the rest to eat.
So that's like 2 extra plates.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my school daughters could have access to this. Also, you're in charge of students putting water in the kitchen, right? Because there is water prefects, actually. But then you are the officer in charge of everything kitchen.
Including the water in the kitchen.
So if your school daughters are on the default list. You know, not even take them out. They will still get food because you have extra food.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that I would just take food, like officer in charge of food, and that was my position the entire time till I left. So I eventually became a prefect while I was officer in charge of food, so it was interesting.
Yeah.
But back to the graduation day,